Welcome back. All right. News of the day video for all you fine people for your Thursday, April the 18th. Of course, the playoffs start on Saturday, so last day of the regular season today and all. The Board of Governors unanimously approved the move today. So the move is happening. They're going to Utah for next season. The Coyotes franchise is officially inactive. Alex Maruello holds the franchise name, the logos, trademarks, and all that. He holds on to all of that with the idea that he is committed to putting a new arena in the city of Phoenix over the next 5 years, and then the NHL would return to Arizona, and the Coyotes would be brought back at that point. But of course, the players that are transferred to Utah, it's not like they're going to get transferred back. And it looks like Utah may not have a name, so the reason why I'm wearing just the generic NHL stuff and going with the ugly NHL All-Star jersey is, we may not get a name for the Utah team. So the Utah Hockey Club is born. Utah HC, go. Over the next 5 years, we'll see what the Coyotes do. Alex Maruello putting out a statement. Apparently he was on the Board of Governors call. Maybe that's why he wasn't at the game last night. He called in early to the Board of Governors call, and he just wanted to make sure he didn't miss it. So maybe that's why he didn't go to the game last night. But it's a bad look. And I don't know how the NHL is gonna fix this, where they have a franchise that's now inactive, but they have a market that already was struggling in terms of making money, right? We know the Coyotes had been a cash drain for a while. They actually turned a profit at the Mullet. Not a big profit, but they did turn a profit. At least that's the reports. And so now you've got this market that's kind of just hanging there, and you've got an owner that fans aren't happy with. That, Alex Maruello, all he had to do was stand at center ice and say, "I'm sorry, I failed you. I'm committed to bringing a team back within the next 5 years, and I'm sorry." He wouldn't have to say anything about the sale. He wouldn't have had to worry about the NHL being mad at him for confirming, because we all know it's coming, right? But he absolutely should have stood at center ice and apologized. And been a big man about it. And yes, the fans would have booed him. There might have been fans that threw stuff, because fans do that at times at sporting events. But you have to be the public face of this. If you failed to keep the franchise where it is, you have to own that. He had 5 years, and they're no closer now, it appears, to getting an arena than they were, and so the NHL's left. Now, the Delta Center, the plan is to do some updates to the Delta Center to make it a little better for hockey viewing. That is not the permanent home for Utah. Utah has put aside, I think it's $950 million for a new arena. So there's already public funding going into a new arena. The new arena is coming. So the difference between the Coyote situation, where we're looking at in Utah you have a building where you're going to be able to put, 12,000 fans a night into a building, which is better than 4,900, right? Or 4,600. And you've got a building that is absolutely a stopgap until the new one comes in, that is coming in, as opposed to Arizona, where it's still kind of Hail Mary, and maybe this is going to work, and you just don't know. So it's a situation that's been resolved, but it feels like there's still a lot of unresolved issues there too. And I've seen some Coyote fans responding to the official news of the move to Utah, saying they'll still support the team. Good. I think that's good. And it depends on the move. Like, I know when Minnesota moved to Dallas, I still supported the North Stars. When the Nordiques moved to Colorado, it was tough. That one was tough. When the Jets moved to Arizona, that was tough as well. Part of the reason I wasn't a big fan of the Kachina was because I viewed that as being what replaced the Jets. And I like the Jets. So, it is going to be interesting to see how many Coyotes fans still follow the sport, and B, follow the team. Because if you are an owner in Arizona looking to bring the team back, you're going to need to keep the interest there. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. And I'm going to do a video over the next week or so looking at the players that are going to Utah. I was thinking, what am I going to use for a magnet for that? Apparently I can just use an NHL logo, because we don't know the team name and we may not have one. But talking about what players they're getting, all the draft picks, the prospects, and really this is a stacked organization that, with the right moves this summer, since there were so many expiring contracts, with the right movement this summer, they could be dangerous next year. So we'll see. Moving on to other news. Rasmus Ristolainen has had surgery for a ruptured triceps tendon. He is expected to be healthy come training camp. We'll see what the Flyers do in the offseason with some of their veteran players. It does feel like they're committed to doing a rebuild, so if they're going to be committed to doing a rebuild, maybe Ristolainen isn't still there come this fall, but we'll see what happens, right? Podkolzin has signed a 2-year extension with the Vancouver Canucks. It's a $1 million cap hit. Podkolzin has developed nicely. I don't think he'll ever be a big scorer in the NHL, but his work ethic is pretty good. And I think he's put in some really good minutes in the bottom 6 down the stretch for Vancouver. So I'm glad he's sticking around. And the cap hit's not bad either. $1 million a year. I think he's earned the right to be on their 3rd or 4th line next year. And we'll see what the upside is beyond that. Drew Bannister. So brought in as the interim coach by the St. Louis Blues. I think he did a good job. So he could stay on. He's one of the candidates. The New Jersey Devils as well with Travis Green. It's a similar situation. So the interim coaches sometimes become the full-time coaches. We'll see between Green and Bannister whether or not they end up getting that role full-time. The Blues, of course, missed the playoffs. I think if they'd made the playoffs, then Bannister probably ends up getting that job full-time without the need for a further search. But we'll see. The St. Louis Blues are an interesting team. The last one to miss the playoffs in the West. I think they're a good team. And I think that if they make huge changes, they could overcorrect. Don't overcorrect. I don't think this team's that far off. So the key thing is to make the right moves, not just a bunch of moves. A bunch of moves can be bad for a team when they're close. Jeff Carter yesterday announced his retirement from the National Hockey League. So last night was his last game. He played 1,321 games. 442 goals. That 442nd was last night. 409 assists, 851 points. Of course, he won 2 Stanley Cups with the LA Kings. Playing in Philadelphia, Columbus briefly, LA and Pittsburgh. And of course, there will be a career video on Jeff Carter because he played for so long and his career is very interesting to look at. So there will be a career video. Keep your eyes open for that. Jacques Martin has moved into an advisor role for the Ottawa Senators. That was always the plan. He was just on until the end of the season. He will be part of the committee looking for a new coach for the Ottawa Senators now that the season's officially over. Jacob Chychrun is still a name to keep an eye on. So going up to the trade deadline, there was discussion about whether or not he was going to get moved, and then he didn't. The team seemed to want to keep him around, but there was hedging back and forth, and now Chychrun revealing that there's been no discussion of an extension between himself and the Ottawa Senators. The future of Chychrun with the Sens is uncertain. Makes some sense. It makes some sense because that's a blue line that's young and it's got some talent there. Maybe Chychrun's just a redundant piece on the blue line, and that makes him movable. But he is a good offensively minded defenseman, and with the right team, I think he could absolutely excel. He had that one really fantastic year with the Coyotes. Maybe he ends up in Utah, right? Maybe he ends up going back to the organization just in a new location. But we'll see what happens with Chychrun. Tonight is an interesting night in that it's the final night of the season. It is also the debut for Cutter Gauthier with the Anaheim Ducks. When Philadelphia traded Gauthier's rights to Anaheim, there were those who said, hey, if Philly can't sign him, why can Anaheim? Well, he signed with Anaheim, and he sounds excited. But imagine playing your first game in the last game of the season, so that'd be weird. And then you're playing the first game of your career on the road in Las Vegas on the Strip. So Cutter Gauthier getting welcome to the NHL with the final game in Vegas. We'll see if he gets on the board. Maybe he gets a goal tonight. But Gauthier's seen as a really good young star player in the making. And for the Anaheim Ducks, they could use that. They've got some really good young forwards, but of course Zegras has had a bit of an off year. He's been injured a lot. McTavish at times has looked really good. He hasn't really taken that next step yet, though. Leo Carlsson, promising rookie season, a lot yet to go on. But yeah, Gauthier now joins that group. And the Anaheim Ducks, I would expect, will be better next season. Nikita Kucherov reached 100 assists last night, as expected. So he joins Gretzky, Lemieux, Orr, and McDavid as players who've recorded 100 assists in a season. Considering how long it had been since anybody had 100 assists, we may not see it again. That being said, Gretzky got there many times over. Maybe McDavid and Kucherov can do that as well. We shall see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.